Hello, I'm Shimei,
And I'm Simone.
and welcome to our show, The
The situation.
Situation. Today, our topic is very interesting because we're all probably wonder where this went. Now, the topic is what happened to traditional dating or courting, like asking the father, to date the daughter, as in asking for his daughter's hand in marriage. What happened to those type of things? Because these days, in 2010, it's fairly non-existent. Do you believe that? Because I haven't seen
Pretty much, we remember back, well, we don't remember back, but we heard and read about back in the early 1920s and 30s where they had courting parties where they would have a group of single matrons in the village or in the area who would all be in this one
it. Like speed
ball.
dating?
No,
No,
no, no,
just
no.
kidding.
And they would have all of the eligible bachelor men at that time come, and they would actually have a series of events where you would go if you were a single man and female, and you would do traditional courting. You would see each other. There will be no physical activity, no
Right.
touching. First off, conversation. Then you would move on to he would have to come to your home, meet your parents. He would have a extensive meeting with your father. I mean, I don't fully agree with all that. I think it was way too much, but you have to also take into effect that you didn't have as much, or you didn't have any basically unwed mothers. You didn't have any of the diseases
Four
that
or
you
five baby
have.
mamas.
Right, you didn't have the multiple partnering. People got married, and it was almost the golden rule that you got married and you stay married for life. Your husband dies or your wife dies, and you are alone. So we're not trying to get into that aspect of it, but we just want to give you a little bit of background and let you, and discuss whatever happened to, the guy getting out of the car and walking up to the door, ringing the doorbell, and, coming in and actually meeting the family
And the guy
prior to the date.
and the guy treating the lady until they're actually. I mean, I personally feel like this, or maybe it's just me, or maybe it's the point that I'm at in my life. But I feel like this: we're dating, unless I invite you to the movies or out to eat or something. We're technically courting, and I feel like the guy should split the bill. And then when we get in a relationship, then we could talk about. Who's gonna split this, who's gonna split that, or whatever the case may be. But I really feel like a guy should treat you like a queen, not over the top, but just kind of court you and just treat you nice. What you think?
I think I'm kind of in the same predicament as far as the way of thinking, but I mean, if we are in 2010, people, so
Yeah.
if we're out somewhere and you've gone on a couple of, if you're still dating with this guy and you've gone on a couple of dates, and let's say you guys go and grab an ice cream or something, and you put up your credit card, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Right.
Like I think it's perfectly okay because women have come a long way. We are very non-traditional these days as far as being in the mode of I'm independent and I have to do for myself. So as long as it's not in a demeaning way to him that's gonna, you know, make him think that you're, in any way trying to call him a broke, whatever or
No, but I'll tell you one thing. We go out to eat, and the bill comes, and you expect me to pay.
now
You might be left sitting there.
if he expects me to pay, I mean,
You'll be sitting there.
no, I'm gonna pay for
You
myself
might
and
be
I'm gonna
washing
walk
dishes
off.
in the back somewhere, cause
This is why most people, and I tend to do that a lot. If I'm asked to go on a date, that first initial date, I'll meet you there. You won't show up to my home to pick me up.
exactly.
You won't meet me somewhere and I get in your car. No, I will meet you at the venue. We will go in, and if there's somewhere where we have to purchase tickets ahead of time or what have you before we go in, if you are not pulling out your wallet, then as a gesture at least, even if I say I got it, but if you're not pulling out your wallet, okay, well, I'm gonna partake in this
Cause
event by
if I gotta pay,
myself.
I'll just call up Simone over here. We'll go by ourselves.
That's what I'm saying. If I have to pay to play on a first date or during the courting process, then maybe I should be courting myself.
That's very true. Now, we did get some feedback from some of our readers on our Facebook, and basically, one guy said that women have ceased being property. Thus, most of conventions, like asking for the woman's father's permission, became outdated. That's true too, because back then, in the olden days, women were kind of viewed as property, sort of. So you kind of had to ask permission to get the property per se. So I kind of see that point of view. But then there's a lady down here Um, they said dating. She said dating and courting is not outdated. That's how a couple gets to know each other and gets the approval of the family to see if there will be a future for the relationship even among animals such as birds. Do a little dance to show their stuff. They just don't have sex. People flirt, dress up, and take to the movies or out for drinks, showing intent to pursue a relationship. Things like that. That's true too. Now, a guy says, well, another lady says, I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman paying for the bill because I've done it before. The whole thing about asking for the parents was an example of traditional dating, although I feel it's very important. It's a very important sign of respect from male and female. I like a guy that wants to meet my parents and wants their approval. It makes me feel like he respects me and thinks highly of me, and the whole thing he knows what's expected from him when it comes to dating, but to each his own.
Right. And now, women, you have to be mindful of that, though. Just because the guy asks for your parents' approval does not mean that your parents actually are in control of your relationship. Mommy and daddy might not like this particular individual, but you may see some potential.
Might be in love.
You know, and it goes all ways. But definitely, I just see it merely as a sign of respect in this day and age for a guy to, want to address your family before
True.
or prior to you guys starting.
But I can't remember the last time I've been out with I've run into my fair share of losers, let's say. But I remember the last time I've been out with a genuinely good guy who was like, hey, let me meet you. Is there a problem with me meeting your dad? And, I just want to get to know him or just see how he is. I don't even remember my friends telling me that lately or anything like that. Have you had a friend that said, hey, this guy wants to meet my parents anytime soon?
No, but again, I'm different with the way that I do things. I'm very non-traditional, so I know people at least six months before you meet anybody in my family.
Yeah.
You don't know where I live. That's just the way that I operate.
Now, I don't bring people around my parents unless we're actually in a relationship. Or what I did do when I was dating one guy is I wanted him particularly to meet my dad because I wanted my dad's opinion of him, which my dad's opinion wasn't good, and I'm no longer talking to that guy. So I did do that for a reason because you're not gonna just go by what they say, but their input does count to some extent, especially when you're a woman and it's your father's opinion. It really does count. So I was it was kind of a test, so it was good. I think it was really good. Now, the last comment we said it was kind of Jurassic, but it says basically everybody is nasty now, and not too many families have fathers. Plus, girls are so careless and fast that they have babies before they are ready to date. The world is dying, and all this acceptance. Yeah, that is true. A lot of people do sleep around and they don't really look for relationships, and then they end up unhappy and they kind of wonder why. And I think if you go about things, even though it's kind of outdated, it's still a good way to go about it because, like the reader said, it is respect. If a guy says, I want to meet your parents, that is respect.
Right.
They show that they actually care and they see a future with you because a lot of times these days people do so many things backwards.
Right. And maybe if we adapted some of our more traditional values, we wouldn't have as many problems as we have today with the number of the violence rate that goes up every year, the unwed parents. I see the divorce rate, especially in our African American communities. I see so many young girls pushing baby strollers when it looks like they should be playing with the Barbie. I do not get it. I do not understand. And oftentimes, we're older now. We're still in our 20s, but we're older, and it's almost like we can't even phantom having kids right now, today, as opposed to being 15 years old.
And it's not even because we have high standards as to why we don't have kids right now. We just have a certain expectation, and we want to make sure we're making a good decision before we go into a lifelong decision.
Right.
Because that is something that you have a kid, you can't take that back. You can't return it. You can't do anything like that. So we want to make sure we make the right decision, and we're not going to settle. We're not going to say we have the highest standards on the planet, but we're not just going to sit there and settle and then bring a child into a settling situation, because how will that turn out? Not good. I believe so. Now we're running out of time, but we encourage you to go to our Facebook. So it's facebook.com, the word cause, the letter N, the letter A, and the word stir. So last, we'll leave you with this. If you're going to do it right.